Hello, good morning, students. Welcome to the e-lecture series by LJ Institute of Pharmacy. I am Dr. Jignesh Shah, working as a professor in the Department of Quality Assurance at LJ Institute of Pharmacy. In today's class, we will be continuing with the topic that is UV visible spectroscopy. Now, in today's class, we will be focusing on the instrumentation of UV visible spectrophotometer. Now, the instrumentation of a UV visible spectrophotometer, it finds its application in most of the pharmaceutical companies. Either it would be a large pharmaceutical company which involves development of various formulation, or it would be a small MSME companies. UV visible spectrophotometer, it is used for the analysis of bulk drugs, that is the API, active pharmaceutical ingredient. Also, it is helpful in the analysis of the drug present in the formulation. If we want to determine the kinetics of a reaction, then it can also be determined by UV visible spectrophotometer. The instrument, it also finds its application in dissolution studies as well as determination of impurities present in the compound. The stability of the solution or the stability of the compound, it can also be analyzed by UV visible spectrophotometer. And this is how we can say that this instrument, it is widely used in pharmaceutical companies in various different areas, covering major section of the analysis of a pharmaceutical product. Now, if we focus on the major components of the instruments, nowadays in case of double beam spectrophotometer, the major components which are present, they are the source of radiation, the collimating system, uh, the filters and the monochromators, sample holder, and detector. Now, if we find the first point that the source of radiation, mostly the source of radiation would be a lamp, which provides energy in the form of radiation, followed by a collimating system. And this collimating system, it is useful to provide parallel unidirectional radiation, which is followed by filters and monochromators. Monochromators are the advanced form of filters which helps in the isolation of radiation of desired wavelength. That is followed by sample holder, which are the coverts in which the sample is placed. And lastly, it is followed by detector, which is useful for the determination of the radiation. Now, moving with the first component of the instrumentation, that is the source of radiation or the lamp, there are certain requirements for an ideal source of radiation. So, these are basically those requirements which will provide us the radiations which are very stable, and there is no fluctuation in the radiation. So, basically, a source of radiation should be such that it should provide a stable and non-fluctuating radiation which will help us in a better analysis of a sample. This source of radiation, it should emit light of a continuous spectrum. There should not be a discontinuous spectrum of radiation, and it should be a continuous spectrum of high intensity and uniform intensity. So as we have gone with the previous point, that the fluctuation in the energy should not be there, because if the fluctuation in the energy is obtained, in that case we will not get the uniform intensity of the radiation over the entire wavelength, that is from 200 nanometer up to 800 nanometer of the wavelength region, where it finds its application in UV area as well as in case of visible spectrum. Now, it should provide incident light of sufficient intensity for the transmitted energy to be detected also. So whenever we are imparting the energy, the incident light should have sufficient intensity so that even after the absorption of energy by the sample, sufficient energy should be there so that it can be transmitted, and that energy should reach up to the detector so that it can be easily detected towards the end of the optical path. So there should be sufficient energy also which should be imparted by the source of radiation. And this source of radiation, it should not undergo fatigue on continuous use. That's why the life of the source of the radiation should be higher, so that multiple samples it can be analyzed and it should not show fatigueness within a short duration of time. So if we can say that what would be the ideal source, then these are the basic requirements of an ideal source of radiation. And mostly when we see the ideal requirements, then we find that the intensity of the radiation, its continuous intensity, its uniform intensity, or we can say stable without fluctuating intensity, these are the major areas of concern in case of selecting an ideal source of radiation. So these are the points which should be kept in mind whenever we are selecting an ideal source of radiation. Now moving towards our first source of radiation, which is commonly used in case of UV visible spectrophotometer, it is a tungsten halogen lamp. Now basically it is a bulb which consists of a filament which is made up of tungsten, and this filament, it is fixed in an evacuated condition in a basically cylindrical area, and then this cylindrical area or bulb, it is filled with an inert gas, either it may be argon or it may be neon, which should not be reactive with the sample. And this inert gas, it is filled inside this bulb at a higher pressure, and a small amount of halogen, either it would be bromine or iodine, it is also added along with this inert gas. Now when the filament is heated by applying current, then the filament starts getting heated. Once the filament, it gets heated at 3000 degree Kelvin, and beyond this we can see that the tungsten filament, it starts sublimating and it starts emitting the polychromatic radiation. So if we see the construction of the tungsten halogen lamp, then we can say that there is a bulb which is having a tungsten filament filled with inert gas along with a small amount of halogen, that is bromine or iodine inside it, and the filament is connected to a source of electric current so that it gets heated at a very high temperature. The only disadvantage of this particular lamp is it gets heated at a very high temperature, and that's why insulation should also be provided for using such kind of lamps. This also provides a continuous polychromatic radiation which needs to be converted into monochromatic radiation in the later stages of utilization. Now the second type of source of radiation, it is the hydrogen discharge lamp. Now as the name indicates that a hydrogen discharge means here the hydrogen gas is used. Now in this hydrogen discharge lamp, we will be using a pair of electrodes, and this pair of electrodes, they are enclosed in a glass tube, and this glass tube, it may be made up of silica, or it may be also made up of quartz window for the UV radiation to pass through this glass tube. And this entire glass tube, it is filled with hydrogen gas inside it. That's why it is known as hydrogen discharge lamp. Now when current is allowed to pass through these electrodes, they start discharging the electrons, and due to this, excitation of the hydrogen molecule takes place, and this excitation of the hydrogen molecules leads to emission of UV radiations which can be used in UV visible spectrophotometer. They are stable and they are widely used. So among major sources, hydrogen discharge lamp, it is the most commonly used source because it provides a stable form of radiation which can be used for the analysis of the sample, as well as the construction of hydrogen discharge lamp. It is easy as well as it is cost effective also. Now the third type of source of radiation, it is the xenon discharge lamp. Now here, as the name indicates, xenon means the xenon gas, it is filled inside a tube. So here xenon gas is used. Now it also has two tungsten electrodes. So there will be presence of two tungsten electrodes. We can see that in the diagram there is anode and cathode. Both are made up of tungsten, and both the electrodes are separated by some distance. So a small distance is kept between both the electrodes. Now these entire unit of both the tungsten electrodes, it is enclosed in a glass tube with a quartz or fused silica, and xenon gas, it is filled at high pressure inside this envelope. Now when an electric current is allowed to pass through these electrodes, there will be formation of an intense arc an intense arc is formed between the electrodes when a electric current is allowed to pass. So this is a good source of continuous radiation and intense radiation. So from this arc, the radiation will be provided. So this arc will be formed because of the xenon gas. Its intensity is much more higher as compared to the hydrogen discharge lamp, and as the lamp is operating at a very high voltage, it also becomes very hot during operation for a longer duration. Hence this also needs thermal insulation, which is one major disadvantage of using xenon discharge lamp, because it is used at a very high voltage. And the last source of radiation, it is the mercury arc lamp. In mercury arc lamp, this mercury vapor, it is stored under higher pressure, and there will be presence of two electrodes. One is anode and the another one is cathode. So when an electrical signal is allowed to pass through these electrodes, excitation of the mercury atoms will take place, resulting in the formation of an arc that helps in the continuous emission of radiation for a longer duration. So this mercury arc lamp, it is almost similar to the xenon arc lamp, but mercury vapors, it has an ability to provide continuous radiation for a longer duration, which is not possible with case of xenon. As the xenon arc lamp, it gets heated at a higher temperature, and this excessive heating may also damage the sample, or it may affect the stability of the sample whenever we are using for the analysis. Now moving forward towards the second component of the instrument, which is used in UV visible spectrophotometer, that is the collimating system. Now the radiations which are emitted from the source of radiation, it is collimated, or they are allowed to make a parallel to each other, so that they get focused towards one direction, and the stray radiation can also be avoided by using collimating system. Loss of radiation, loss of energy can also be avoided by using this collimating system. Now this collimating system, it composes of lens, mirror as well as slit. So these are the three major components of a collimating system, which will make the radiation parallel and thereby reducing the energy loss during the stray light. Now lens, they are the materials which are used for the collimating system, and they must be transparent to the radiation which we are using. So it should not absorb the radiation. Basically they should be transparent in nature, so that absorption of the radiation by the lenses should not take place. As a result, 100% of the radiation will be coming towards the sample. Now ordinary silicate glass, it helps in the transmission of radiation between 350 to 3000 nanometer, and it is most suitable for visible and near eye region analysis. Quartz or fused silica, they can be also used as material for making lenses to work below 300 nanometer. So mostly if we want to work in the UV radiation region, then quartz or fused silica lenses are most commonly used. And if we want to work in the visible portion, then in that case ordinary silicate glass can be used for the process of analysis. The second component of the collimating system, they are the mirrors. Now these mirrors, they are mainly used to reflect the light, focus the light, or collimate the light beams in a spectrophotometer. They are mainly used to minimize the loss of light, and mirrors, they are illuminized on their front surfaces to prevent any kind of absorption of light by the mirrors, and 100% reflection of the light takes place by the mirrors, and that's why they are illuminized. And by this way, fogging of the mirrors can also be avoided on long-term usage of mirrors. Now moving towards the third component of the collimating system, they are the slits. Now basically slit, they play a very important role in resolving a polychromatic radiation into a narrow beam for the further formation of monochromatic radiation. So basically they are useful to form a narrow beam of radiation. And for this purpose, there are two slits which are used in case of UV visible spectrophotometer. One is entrance slit and the another one is exit slit. Entrance slits, they play a very important role in making the narrow beam of radiation, and this narrow beam of radiation is allowed to pass through the sample, and this slits will help to minimize the stray radiation, which are the major reason for deviation from Beer's and Lambert's law. So stray radiation can be minimized up to the most extent by using this slits, and the width of the slit, they also play a very important role in this particular purpose. Lower the width, the narrower will be the beam that will be falling on the sample. That's why width should be as minimum as much possible for the formation of monochromatic radiation, and this will increase the precision of the analysis. In the next class, we will be focusing on the other components of the instrument of UV visible spectrophotometer. I request you to please follow the YouTube channel Pharma Ignite for more videos. Thank you very much.